Was Amelia Earhart the first member of the Mile High Club? Or just another member of the Mile Deep Club? Is Bigfoot overcome?
All right, hello everyone. Having a similar luck there with the intro as usual. You may wonder what I've done to fix it, and the answer is still nothing. But I did re-upload it this time. I really thought that was going to work, but well, as luck would have it. So thanks for joining us at a special time. It is 1:01, and we are joined today by a very special guest, Sean McKay. Sean isn't on video today, so we've got a picture of him. You're going to have to imagine it. All right.
Yeah, we were without
Hey,
video. The story I'm going with is that there's still out of stock everywhere across the world. So if you have a spare webcam to donate, don't send it to me. Actually, send it to somebody who really needs it. But hey, how are you, Jamie?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How about you? So we're not going to send you a webcam. What about like Lysol or toilet paper? You good on that?
I'm pretty solid. I'm stocked up, not overstocked, but stocked up. I'm doing all right.
All right. Yeah, I didn't realize this like Lysol shortage thing. And I've never been a Lysol guy, but we have two 12-year-olds. And I was thinking about like how gross it is to put clean laundry in a laundry basket. So I've started like Lysoling it. And I don't know if it does shit, but I feel so much better. And I guess it's like a 2-year, like Lysol has said it's going to take them 2 years to replenish their stock to such a degree that you're going to see it in the store. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's amazing how that stuff works. Like, you know, the whole supply chain process, it depends really heavily on back stock and items in warehouses across the nation, not just a manufacturing plant that pumps out 100 a minute, but they're actually like sitting and waiting for you to order them. Like, it's pretty amazing.
I agree. I was talking to somebody in the car business, and I guess the car business is like nuts right now because they're basically giving cars away. But one of the guys was like, yeah, but we're about a couple months away from GM closed down. They stopped making cars and started making ventilators. And that's another one where you don't think about it, but there's such a backlog that, you know, a car that they made 6 months ago is just coming out. So that a couple months from now, we're going to see those months that the factories were shut down to make ventilators. Yeah, you're right. It is crazy. The things
Are they back up and building cars now?
I believe so. Yes. But you're right. It's funny to think about because I don't. Well, I'm not speaking for you. I'll speak for me. I come from a world where, oh shit, we're out of bottled water. Guys, fill one up. You know, and here's more bottled water. So to think of anything beyond that is really incredible with an economy as large as ours.
Yeah, really.
Cool. Well, Sean, welcome. I know we've been talking about doing this for months and finally got around to it. So why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself to everyone? And I'm going to make my picture go smaller and your picture go bigger.
All right. Well, of course, Jamie, it's been on my docket to be here. And I think the big problem is, you know, I'm so in the weeds with all of our clients and customers. And with COVID going on, there's been so much demand, not only for our services, but for our time, just advice and consulting. So I've had little time to give back to this, to our vlog here, our webinars, and I regret that. I enjoy watching them and wish I could be more of a standard, regular appearance. But long story short, SiteHub is my company. Founded it in 2012 from a spare bedroom and built it up to where we are now. And we focus obviously on web development, marketing, digital marketing, advertising. My role primarily now is of account management and work with our clients very closely every day. So hopefully today I could share some stuff about what they're going through, ways that we've overcome certain challenges, and how we're adapting SiteHub for this next phase of whatever 2020 has to throw at us.
Very cool. So yeah, you had said you started the company in 2012. So what were you doing before then?
I was working in a sales position as an account manager, and I was also interning at a cybersecurity firm. Both those jobs sound boring probably to most people, but what I found was I didn't know, but what was going to be very helpful for me in starting a business was being able to straddle the two worlds of IT, technology, and relationships with people, humans. Holding both these positions for a while, I think, was a really big reason that I felt confident to be able to go out on my own and call people and sell them the tech that I had. Whereas prior to those sales jobs, I wouldn't have had the confidence to do that. I was going to school. My life was very different. I was kind of in the middle of a lot of things. And
well, you were like 17 years old, right?
Let's see. So technically SiteHub was founded in 2012, but really that's our legal start date. Really, I started working on the business before I knew what it was in probably around mid 2011. And so I would have been 18, 19. It's been, I've grown up in my own business, which is funny to say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it is. So when you, and everybody, when they say, I want to do X, the picture in their head is much different than what actually happens. So when you said, I want to start my own business, what did you think it was going to look like? And, what were you surprised by right off the bat by what it actually looked like?
Well, I think I had anticipated that I was going to be an instant overnight success, and that this would be easy peasy. I could just call my way into success, call 100 people, sell 100 jobs, be all right. And at the same time, I also expected, I didn't know what to expect, I guess is the other half of the coin. So I expected quick success, but I also didn't know anything else about the journey. I didn't really set out to start a business. I think where some people do, they quit their job, or they form a business, and with intent they go forward. I was looking to make some extra money. I was looking to sharpen my skills. I was looking to do something that I liked and make a little coin. Mm-hmm. But I was also trying to build some sort of time freedom into my own schedule, be able to create my own schedule. So the reality is like what I know now is, being a business owner, you have very little free time. Sure, you're in control of that destiny to some extent, and I can take off time if I need it. But I'm in high demand of my own organization right now in the phase that we're in. So also, we're 10 years in, or short of 10 years, and we are not the overnight success that I had dreamt of, but a slow and steady growth that I feel like is actually very rewarding. But yeah, I mean, again, not setting out to do this on purpose. I just kept waking up and doing it. I don't know. The way I set my schedule was I would reward myself for making progress, and I would take time off as that reward. So if I sold a job, sold a new website, I would take the rest of the day, do what I needed, do whatever I wanted to do, and then the next day I'd wake up and try to do the same thing again. So it was kind of a carefree lifestyle. And I remember the first year that I filed taxes, I think I say it was really just me at the time, made like, I don't know, total revenue of like 10 grand or something like that, 15 grand maybe. And I was just like beating myself up by it and stuff like that. And then I remember I was talking to my mom about it, and I was like, is this normal? Like, my dad was an entrepreneur. So I was like, did Dad make any money like starting off? And she said, hell no. Like, we were broke for a ton of time. So it grounded me to realize that, you're not just going to wake up and be a zillionaire. And the kind of the grind forward has been my motivation since.
Sure. And I would say probably in most businesses, but certainly in our business, if you are making money hand over fist in your first year, my bet is you're not going to be in your fifth year.
Yeah. I mean, the second year we grew like 600% or something, right? Like if you look at the percentages, but that level of growth is definitely hard to sustain. Looking at some of our customers, we have a client that grew very quickly this year, 0 to 100. Really, they made it to a multi-million-dollar business within a matter of months. Their product is in very high demand right now, and I wish them the continued success. And hopefully, because of our marketing efforts together, we are able to achieve that next year. But yeah, I don't think anybody's under the illusion that this company that went from 0 to 1 million is now going to go from 0 to 1 billion.
Right.
So yeah, it's very difficult to sustain that immense growth very quickly. And to be honest, back then, Jamie, I wouldn't have been ready for it. Like,
sure.
Again, I was a kid, even at 21, I would have been unprepared to have a 50-person staff in a multi-million-dollar business.
Sure. And one of the things I know you and I have talked about and are in pretty much complete agreement, and I wonder if it comes from your experience or just because you're not an idiot, but it's almost more important the clients that you don't take. Not that anybody is running a bad business, not that anybody, everybody's money is green and all of that, but sometimes you have to set the money aside and say, is this client, whether it's the time that it would take, whether it's the scope of work, whether it, how it aligns to your business, but how did you come to that realization that it's important to take the right clients and the right jobs rather than just any client, any job?
That's a really good point. I don't know the exact moment. I can definitely recall one of my first very challenging clients. That was a lesson to be learned. We did a whole website build. It was a good size site, and the whole time I was working with kind of someone in a we'll call it like a managerial role, and leadership had basically said to that person, you handle this. So we go through the whole process, reviews and edits, and everyone's happy, and then leadership steps in and says, oh yeah, I hate everything you guys did. And of course, the manager I was working with at the time then basically put it all on me to abide by all the last minute changes. And claimed that they didn't sign off on things that we had like sign offs for and stuff. So, it became very frustrating very quickly, and learning how to handle myself in those scenarios was definitely key, like learning what to say and how to maintain, your composure. But it was not pleasant. And again, this goes back years. This is like
absolutely
early days, but I learned pretty quickly that, we have to filter that stuff out. So we changed the way that we write our contracts. We changed the way that we advertise, the way that we onboard, the way that we do kickoffs. We create better expectations. We have better sign-off processes so that things are more, more easily and more visibly documented. And not just extra hoops for our clients to jump through, but just like you said, picking the right clients in the beginning. It's just so critical. Saving money by turning down money is the easiest way to grow, I think.
Absolutely. And, I've seen that at a couple of organizations, where your eyes light up and you say, oh my God, what a great client, what a great job. And then it's like, holy shit. Yeah. And of course you don't want to change your business model or your, contractual terms every time there's a one-off. And I know you don't do that. But a lot of times, when, our ideal client says, Sean, why do I have to sign a 5-page contract? Jesus Christ, just, do it. And more often than not, that's the reason why. It's protection for both sides, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the clients who complain about contracts are generally the type that you probably don't want to work with.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I've had really good clients who tear apart the contract. They read every bit of it. They make notes, and that's fine. That's acceptable. And I think any business that does business knows that that's part of the process. People who don't sign or don't read it and they just sign it blindly can also be a bad customer. But
exactly. Because you've got to wonder, are they running their business the same way?
Yeah, most people, the smaller the business, the more likely we are to see that stuff. And, we set out with an intent to do business with small businesses. And I think I've had to shift my my definition of what is a small business, because the reality is that the micro enterprise, the brand new company with no money that's got, a few customers here and there, or that's just an idea, generally they're not ready to work with us, and we're not prepared to work with them in a way that's really effective. But, the way that the government defines a small business is businesses under $25 million. That's a lot of businesses.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray area there.
Yeah, we are well suited to work with companies that are, bringing in that have clients that have been around the block. They're not brand new. They have revenue. They're making money, but they want more of all of those things. Customers who know what it's like to do business with other companies, that know what it's like to hire help. Especially people who've hired other website or marketers before. Those make great clients for us.
Yeah, I know that I personally have been in some meetings with you with some, startups or relatively, new businesses. And you and I sit down with the full intention of talking about websites and marketing plans. And we talk the whole time about, hold on, you don't have a lawyer? Here, call this guy. Here's a good lawyer. And what insurance? All right, here's a couple guys to call, and you and I will walk out of the meeting and it's like, we didn't even talk about a website because, this guy or this girl isn't ready for a website first off. And, something that I say all the time to you, Sean, they don't know what they don't know. They're sitting in their spare bedroom too, and they thought of a name and they've got a great logo and they know how to put a roof on. Yeah. Say, I'm ready to go. I need a website. It's like, no, you need a lot more first. Yeah.
A lot of people aren't ready. They're not ready for the investment, and they're not ready to actually take that step. Now, that's okay. There's no shame in being new and inexperienced, or, not knowing what you're ready for even. I mean, it's just, we don't happen to be the best fit for them. So we try to help them out. Like you said, show them, introduce them to the right people. And maybe we're not the best fit to do that person's website, but there's someone else who specializes in $200 websites that can help them out. Or, I direct a lot of people towards Squarespace or Shopify or Wix, where it's like, okay, you want a basic site. Here's how you can build one yourself. Our real clients never, say, I could just build this myself, because our real customers know that there's value in hiring us and an expert, and the time it would take for them to learn and develop it themselves would be too much.
Right. So. And your point is well taken. It's and there's nothing wrong with that. But, if you've got an operating budget of $10,000, it doesn't make sense to spend $6,000 of it on a website. It doesn't right now. Right now, you need a website, not a kick-ass website. Spend your money elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be the reason that they have to take out debt or that their business shuts down. But people who are our ideal customer should be able to easily afford us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's true. That's a business lesson probably for anyone. I mean, you don't, let's say you sell high-end furniture, you're not going to go target people who are, alternatively price shopping you against Big Lots furniture. It's just not your ideal customer. So, we try to zone in on that, and we help our clients do the same. I mean, we help them understand who their customers are.
Yeah. And the two go hand in hand for sure. And, like anything else, you do get what you pay for. But, to your point, when you started your business in your, the spare bedroom, if you had 60 people calling you a day, you probably wouldn't be in business today, because you would have been overwhelmed. You would have made poor decisions, at the moment, that wouldn't have been good for the long-term success of the business.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If there's someone out there who's listening who's got, wild success from day one, that's something definitely to be proud of, and that you got into something that clearly had a lot of demand, and you had a good angle, and you got your name out there, all those things which are very tough to do. If you're able to do all that quickly, great. Just hire the right people as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
and try to keep up with the pace. But yeah, you're right. Like, I wouldn't have been ready for that at day one. I mean, I didn't set out to do that. Sure. Again, my initial idea was, let me make a few bucks. I'll sell some websites.
Yeah. So we had a question that was coming in, but I couldn't type it fast enough. It was about, have you always been a nerd? And I mean that with affection. Have you always been a computer guy?
Yeah, I mean, so probably my cousin was a computer hardware guy, and got me into computers early on. And my dad was interested in technology, even though he was pretty computer illiterate, but like, he was interested in having technology. I mean, we had my dad had a home office, and we had like one of the older like home computers that was giant back in the day before my time. I think there was a giant computer in the house, and we had one of those giant all-in-one printers before that was a thing, before they became desktop sized. Sure. I mean,
it ran on gas.
Yeah, basically the thing was ginormous. Had the tear off paper where the sides tear off.
Yeah.
Like the little perforated edges.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we that was kind of the thing in the family. I think I started using a computer when I was like 5 or 6, and then we I was interested in how it worked early on. I think my interest in the physical pieces was where I started, like taking it apart and building a computer. We did pretty early on, and then I got more interested into the software end of it after that. So it was kind of a progression. A lot of it too stemmed from playing video games. I mean, back when I was a kid, it was like, okay, we play the game, and then you wonder, how does this thing work? And so it's just this progression.
Yeah. which is, pretty natural for kids back then. Nowadays, I don't know what the hell is going on in kids' heads. Like, they're really maybe video games have gotten that much better that they're like, nope, this is good. I don't care what's going on, in that TV or in the console, but this is pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, back when I was doing this stuff, I had to, I couldn't afford a brand new computer, so we had to learn how to upgrade the computer. And to learn how to upgrade the computer, you weren't going to bring that down to the store. You did that yourself. So, like, there wasn't a geek squad, So yeah, you're right. I mean, there was probably it's different. And nowadays, I guess you buy a computer and it's got so much horsepower that it's good for 10 years.
And certainly it's, I mean, I guess that's true with almost all, appliances like that. I mean, think of the first flat screen TV. It weighed 800 pounds and you had to take out a mortgage to buy it. And now, you can get a 50-inch TV that is surprisingly affordable. It weighs about 8 pounds. So it's different, probably the era that you're talking about. Yeah, when your computer slowed down or stopped working, you fixed it, you upgraded it. You didn't buy a new one.
Couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
I know this is a while back. I had a client who was in the business of computer repair. And I'm like, dude, what? Like, how's that working for you? He says, it's not working very well. I believe that. Like, what? Your other idea was to be a vacuum repairman? It's just not something that I like about our society or our products, but they are made to last a certain amount of time. And then it makes more sense financially or any other way to buy a new one rather than to have it repaired. And I know growing up, it was never like that. My dad can still fix. Well, I don't know if he can fix anything because they make it differently.
Back in my day.
Right. A television back then, you take the back off the television and everything back there looks the same. He's incredible. He takes the hood off a car and it doesn't matter, whether it's a Porsche or a Chevy or whatever, he can still look in there and tell you that's the transmission and that's the engine and that's this and that's. I can't even do that, let alone fix it.
Right.
But, it was a different era. So how have your expectations for the business grown? Like you said, when you started, it was just to put a couple bucks in your pocket, do something that you already kind of knew how to do. When and how did those expectations change?
I think when when I first started, it was me, and then I had a couple buddies help me out who were kind of working as contractors. We brought more contractors in, people who were just kind of occasionally helping here and there, doing different pieces. I think when things really started to change is when I employed people for the first time, and you put them on a wage or salary. It really changes the sense of responsibility that you have. So now I'm not just throwing people cash here and there for side jobs or gigs, but now I'm their employer. Like, I contribute to their retirement and to their health insurance, and I'm their source of income, and they are mine as well. And so it's like this really important symbiotic relationship that I didn't realize when I was just, solo dolo throwing out jobs here and there. So it really made a big difference for me and changed my expectations at that moment. And, forced me to step up to the plate and become a better leader, grow the business in different ways, innovate in different ways, and make sure that I'm reliable to be able to, that these people that can depend on me. You know what I mean?
Sure, absolutely. Where, now there's more than one stakeholder, and, and then at that point, you as the employer, you're almost split a couple different ways, where obviously you're looking out for your clients, you're looking out for your employees, looking out for yourself. Yeah, certainly it's a different way to look at things.
Yeah.
You had talked about when we first started about, the amount of time that you spend on the job. And one of the things that I've noticed and that I think we're a little bit similar, well, you're a lot better at it than me, is, you look at your schedule, you look at your calendar, you are booked tight, for those periods of time. But then also almost every day on your calendar, you have a few hours blocked out. And, and I can see, I'm pretty similar in that I will work, morning to early afternoon-ish, and then, go do the family thing, and then get back on for a couple hours at night. Was that hard for you to, to really keep, I hate the term work-life balance, but to say, okay, no, I'm done. Obviously, if the place is burning down, call me. If not, I'll get to your email when I get to it. Is that hard, or is that something you had to learn?
Before having a family, would work all day, from the time I woke up till late in the night, like 11, 12 at night. And we would definitely take breaks. I'm not going to say that. I mean, there was times I didn't, but most of the time, you'd eat lunch and go have a beer, get some dinner, but then jump back into work late into the evening, because my responsibility was really just to, my only responsibility in life was really SiteHub. Mm-hmm. And obviously having a family, that changes. I have a responsibility and a desire to be with my family. But yeah, like you said, work-life balance is kind of a shit term. And that's really because there is no such thing. It's just balance. Our work lives are just our lives. Mm-hmm. And so I do keep both really high in my priority list. I don't ever really shove off emails, even when I'm with my family, probably to their disliking. Mm-hmm. I'm very guilty of being on my phone and answering an email here and there throughout the entire day or into the evening. But I do spend time on my life as well. And also, honestly, if I didn't block out some time every day, I wouldn't have time to actually get anything done. I'd be, like you said, back to back with meetings, because I do fill up the rest of my days with just back to back meetings with clients, working with them, coming up with new ideas, new campaigns, solving problems, whatever. Yep. So yeah, if I didn't block off time, I would just be, I'd be totally unable to get any of my actual work done.
Absolutely. And it's funny, like, I've done this where you look at a list, your list of things to do, and all of them are very small, and you look and you say, oh shit, I can do that tomorrow. That's nothing. And then it's like, but it still takes time, to call Wegmans to refill a prescription. It doesn't take a lot of time, but you've still got to pick up the phone. And it's not something you can do while you're doing something else. So I definitely know what you mean about, yes, nothing's scheduled in this time, but if I don't have that time, I don't get all of these things done, which are nothing things, but are important.
Yeah.
And it also seems to me, and I've, gone down this path myself, where if you're doing, everything at once, you're not doing anything well. If you're sitting there having dinner with your family, and firing off a proposal, guess what? Your family's pissed and you're not getting that client.
Kind of a lose-lose. Yeah.
Right. So, definitely that's something that I've seen from working with you. And I'll be honest, it's one of the more consistent things that I've seen with successful, whether it's management people or owners of companies, just, almost like we said with clients, knowing which clients to take and which not, also saying, hey, you know what? If it's not on fire, we're going to deal with this after I put the kid to bed or tomorrow or Monday.
I think going to a bigger picture here, going back to when I was like grinding it out every day, all day, I was working weekends and I was working nights, and my clients began to expect that I was working nights and weekends. And when I stopped working nights and weekends, they stopped expecting that I worked nights and weekends. So I was able to regain that time and some control over my own schedule by simply setting it. And I think too often business owners are afraid to piss everyone off and lose all their clients. And to be honest, if there's a client that expects you to be available 24 hours, you don't want that client.
Right.
Unless they're paying you more than enough to sustain you for long periods of time, even after they leave, because eventually those clients will become too needy. They will leave and find someone else, and you'll want to look back and think, well, at least it was worth it. And most of the time it's not. And so, I realized that taking that time to reorganize my priorities and my schedule to the way that I saw fit was right for me. Now, at the same time, I know that I have people who work for me who value working nights and weekends, and that's okay. I don't tell them not to, because again, I don't believe in a separate work life. Your work and your life are the same thing. You are human in both places. So if you happen to be productive at night, or you want to catch up on a Sunday and get some shit done so that Monday doesn't feel so stressful to you, do it. And likewise, we have a policy that's inverse. If it's Monday afternoon and you're done and you are burnt and you're not going to be productive and you're not going to be happy, stop.
Right.
What the
fuck you doing here?
Yeah, like I'm not saying it's some sort of spiritual thing, but you have a bad attitude about being at work, that's not necessarily going to be conducive for other people to work with you or together. And yeah, it's not going to help you enjoy your job. And ultimately, I want people to enjoy to be here as well.
Right. And also, let's say I am here and I'm pissed off and miserable and and I have a great day and pull in 3 clients. Then I'm telling myself, God damn it, now I got to be miserable every day. It's almost like a superstition thing. So, that certainly isn't good for anyone. And, I can definitely see where you want people at their best. And if that happens to be Sunday from 2 a.m., whatever, probably don't call clients then, but,
and it is about expectations too. I see the comment in the chat. It's like, it's very much about setting a good expectation with your client. We do have clients that are on retainer with us, and that we have a certain level of response time that we guarantee to them, and we make right on those promises. So it's just, do people, if a client expects you to call them back in 10 minutes, you shouldn't wait till tomorrow. But if tomorrow is when it needs to be, then they shouldn't have expected 10 minutes, and you messed up on that. So, yeah.
And there's also a difference between, hey, Sean, my website's down, or, hey, this blog that you posted, is that really the right verb tense? There are things that can wait, and there are things that, do need immediate attention. But that's why I'm not a cardiologist. There are very few things in this business that, do need to be handled right now. And when those things pop up, I know I've seen you do it. It does get handled. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, we had a client with a hosting issue yesterday. Site went down, was back up within 5 minutes. Sure, it wasn't convenient to do that, but that's a promise that we make to our clients, and we make it right no matter what. So, yeah, happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll switch gears a little bit, and talk about March, when all the mayhem went down. And I was kind of here right in the center of it, and I think you and I are, while we're probably pretty different in some of maybe the methodologies, I feel like our ideologies are pretty similar. And, I feel like we both read quite a bit and try to stay up on things. And I feel like, you tell me if you're wrong, as we're in the beginning of March, I feel like we didn't know what to expect or when, but we knew that something was going to happen. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend who at the time was
good. It's about time, Sean. You're such a nice guy.
He was telling me in like February about a buddy of his who was being sent to Singapore for a conference, and that they were concerned about coronavirus. And that was the first time I thought about coronavirus in any serious way, and that it might have an impact. And then I heard from another friend locally about his serious concern for how it's going to affect the U.S. And still at the time, I was kind of in that mode, like, oh, I don't know. It seems like a bad case of the flu, just ignorant about it all. And definitely by like March, around my birthday, actually, my birthday was on March 13th, shutdown really happening big on the 15th. And that's when, I knew that this was going to be large, going to have an impact. And, with shutting down businesses, I definitely became concerned about the impact for SiteHub and for my customers. And, in the beginning of March, everyone was really scared. We saw a lot of clients put pauses and holds on their retainers, and we were flexible. We give them the opportunity to do that. We gave a couple clients some free time where we were able to still work with them and postpone the payment. We did whatever we could to keep people on board and to keep them happy and to keep trying to service them and keep all of us busy. I mean, keeping my team busy was really important to me too. So, it was very clear in early mid-March that there was a serious impact. And, we've been lucky since that point that we actually had record-breaking months since then. So April, May, and June in particular were very good for us. And I think that's because everyone realized that if there was a path forward, it involved a digital presence, and it involved, being able to do virtual events and have a website that supports, announcements, and be able to do your email marketing and mastering your social media and all the things that we are good at. So we've become in higher demand lately because of all that.
Yeah.
And I don't take that for granted. I'm very thankful that we're in that position. I realize that not every business is, and many of our clients were in a point of crisis when they came to us. And so I definitely see that side of it, and am concerned for business development going forward. I know that if there were a second wave and there were less government support this time around, it'd be very challenging for a lot of businesses to stay in business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like one of the things with you, Sean, as well, you pretty much keep an even keel, at least around here at work. Nothing really seems to get you too high or too low, which I think was probably needed in a situation like this. Was there a lot of talking people off ledges, whether, clients or prospects or parents?
There was definitely some of that. I mean, had some clients that when they were considering pausing large contracts or large projects, and I was able just to offer deferred payments. That definitely was part of it. But yeah, I mean, the other thing we tried to do, Jamie, during that time was be a resource for them to find other outlets besides just paying us. Like be a resource to find money or find resources or help. So, we started this podcast or vlog.
Yeah.
We started primarily the first 2 episodes or whatever were all about getting resources for people, businesses with need. We definitely had a lot. We had email blasts, and I had tons of conversations with clients about new grants or programs rolling out. And we tried to stay up to date on PPP as that was rolling. So, really, we found our position in the community as a helper, as a resource, as a connector. And I think that honestly, that's a position I like to be in personally. I enjoy being the person who's like, oh, hey, here, check this out. Or, oh, you need a job? Like, here, I know this person. And I like being valuable in that way and helping other people find value. So yeah, we kind of just fell into that role really heavy.
Yeah. And, I'm sure it has already in some facet for you, but you always hope that, you get back half of what you give. And I know that in the past 6 months, just what I've witnessed that you've given, whether it's advice, these resources, the free tools, to our clients, that while it may be free to them, it's not free to you, or your time isn't free. So I do know that, as an organization, we've certainly given quite a bit. And I think maybe the other thing that it seems like has really helped, because I don't want to, maybe we didn't miss a beat. I missed a couple, but I never felt like Sean doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's making this up as he goes along. And that's probably because of the flexibility of the work, place. I know if you're in the office for 4 hours in the morning or whatever, you can work just as well from home as you can from the office. So it has to help that you don't have that startup time, which I know a lot of people did, and I did as well. Like, okay, I'm home. Yes, I've got a computer. I've got a desk. I've got this, but there's still something about being in the office that helps a lot of people get work done.
There's still clients that struggle with that. And I think that's something that still really hasn't been addressed. We've gotten to the point where we teach people how to use these tools. And people now feel comfortable starting a Zoom meeting or whatever. But people haven't really mastered it yet, and like how to optimize their workday with it. For example, I'm seeing a lot of clients right now who are unable to get small messages and small communications to their team effectively. So those small needs that everybody has, those few questions here and there, or what do you think of this thing? Those things are piling up in the workforce, and employees bottle them up because they don't have a great way to transmit them to their managers. And then those become hour-long meetings. So then suddenly, as a manager, you have a week straight of hour-long meetings that are made up of plenty of small things that probably could have been asked in an email. So I think there's still people who haven't quite figured out the workflow. And you're right. Yeah, we have an advantage because that's how I built my business. That's how I've grown up. That's the people we hire really understand that. We've worked that way before. Prior to having an office, we didn't. So we're used to this. But there's still a lot of training and I think work to be done in how to optimize people's schedules.
Yeah. So what would be a piece of advice that you would give either to, our clients or just anybody that's running a business If they have a similar issue, like you just mentioned, whether it's communication or, what's a piece of advice that you would give to those companies?
I think that there's some tools that are designed for those smaller tidbits, but you like be it Slack or just text messaging or whatever. But I think carving out a time of the week where you have a touch point with each employee, with each team, or an all hands, so that things are kicked off that way. There could be open conversation about questions. I think denying meetings that don't have a real purpose that you wouldn't have otherwise had in person is probably good. It's like saying no to the wrong customer, right? But also saying no internally when a meeting isn't justified, because productivity is something that everybody worries about when they talk about work from home, right? And if we prove our employers right that we can't work from home because we're going to be less productive, they're going to bring us all back in as soon as possible.
So are you saying, I'm sorry to interrupt, but are you saying you're not an advocate of having an hour-long meeting to discuss lower productivity?
I'm not an advocate to have an hour-long meeting that is not necessary, and so many of them are not. Now, obviously, clients are different, and you don't want to onboard a new client by telling them, "Hey, I'm not available for meetings." But and I think it's just important to touch base with people on a schedule and in a way that they feel like they can easily email you or text you or call you, and just get that quick question out of the way. If you find yourself like just grinding all day, working and not communicating with your team, you're probably doing it wrong. Yeah, you might be real productive in that moment, but I would bet by not communicating, you're going to create problems for yourself in the next week, or there's going to be questions or assumptions you made that were wrong. It's about communication in a way that isn't an hour-long Zoom.
Right, and that's a great recipe for little shit to turn into big shit. Something that I could fire off to you really quick in a text message or an instant message or whatever that could be solved like that. Well, if I sit on it and then you're on your end wondering about it, by the time we actually talk about it in 2 weeks, it's something that it never needed to be.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It boils up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely see that. So yeah, I know that you have been busy. The company's been busy. Where is the majority of that work, in the past couple of months? I think, for a month or two, there was a lot of uncertainty, but since then, it's really, things have taken off. And what are you seeing, from your seat? What are businesses thinking? Is there confidence?
I think it depends on the industry. There's some of our clients are seeing their businesses return, some with more momentum. Some clients have made stronger pivots than others, and more so embraced the digital transition, and that's positioned them in a way to beat their competitors. So, for example, I have a client that's normally does in-person live certification training for employees of private companies and the government. And they have a physical training center in the Maryland, D.C. area. And obviously with COVID, that was out of the question. Now they still have to pay the mortgage or the rent, whatever, on that building, but they've really transitioned hard to online live learning. And it's picked up. People they want it. They still need the certs. They still need the training. They're mandated often to get the continued education credits, and they're looking for a place to do that. Now they not only market to Maryland and DC, they market to everyone in the U.S. And their margins are better because they don't have to pay as much to get the teacher or the printouts or the things that they would have to set up in person. They can run more classes at the same time without having to worry about how many classrooms are open. They don't have to have as much office staff. They don't have to have cleaning staff. So they've become more profitable. Now, they could have just as easily gone the other direction if they didn't make the transition quickly, or if they didn't do it the right way, or invest properly into the technology. But they made all the right decisions. So I think there's other clients, though, where it's out of their hands, like the pivot. Was it possible? There just was a dried up well in terms of demand, and it's unfortunate. But restaurants were in that position before things transitioned more, and still are not in a great place. Restaurants are not, exceedingly doing well, but there's I guess the short answer is it depends, but we're seeing a mixed bag. Everything a lot more hopeful than anything right now, I think. Some people believe that this is it. COVID's not going to get any worse here. But I'm trying to keep an eye out for what would happen if this were to happen again or come harder.
Sure. And I guess we've been in a unique position since March being in New York, because even though we're not in New York City, we're grouped into the shitstorm of COVID that was happening in March, April, May. And now that we're on the back end of it, New York is almost the example of how to handle it. So we've almost for the last few months been in a completely different position than the rest of the country. And actually, I meant to tell you this, so I'll tell you now. Dr. Boehm invited us to come see his new joint. So we got to figure.
That's funny. I was just there. I brought my cat down. It's an awesome place.
I had sent him an email a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, "You and Sean got to stop down, blah, blah, blah." And again, you and I haven't really sat down and had a beverage or anything in months, so I keep forgetting to mention it. But yeah, we will have to do that sometime. That guy's a trip. And then, excuse me, as we wrap up, there's our website, SiteHub.com. So why don't you tell the story about why the website isn't SiteHub.com?
Yeah, I think people who are newer to building their first website or newer to business often come to me and they're like, I would need my name.com. Like whatever my business name is .com, I need it. No hyphens, no nothing. And I'm like, okay, good luck. If it's available, buy it. Great. If it's not available, don't sweat it because it won't change much of anything. Just make it easy to say, easy to spell, easy to read, and focus on that more so than anything. But the story is basically SiteHub.com is owned by a gentleman. I'll keep him nameless.
It's not me.
It's not anyone we know personally, but he, if you go to it, has a message that says it works. He will not sell it, which is, sometimes you can offer people, you get a broker and purchase the domain from someone else, ask them how much they want. He said there is no price in which he wants to sell it, but he basically doesn't use it. It just says it works. And it's been that way for at least since we've been in business, but probably longer. So if you're listening, Ben, I'm still interested. Would love to buy your domain. And that's really just an ego thing. But your SiteHub, it honestly does speak to, we came to this conclusion because it speaks to our business model in that we really work closely within our client's scope and needs. We don't do much that's cookie cutter. So when a client says that they have this specific problem or these specific needs or this scope of work, that's what we try to gear our service around. So we are working for them. We're their company. We are their hub, and hence the name.
Perfect. Yeah, I know, when I first started, I went to SiteHub.com. I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm like,
company.
Yeah, and do I text him to tell him the website's not, But yeah, it's very funny. And I catch myself sometimes where I'm like, oh shit, did I say yours, or my email address? Did I say at your? But in any case, but you're gonna break Ben down one of these days. So
I don't know. I hope so.
yeah.
I hope so.
Perfect. Well, Sean, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining. And any parting shots or anything you got?
Well, just as a quick announcement, we're going to be doing the show on a weekly basis for the most part going forward, with a few exceptions here coming up. But so anyone who's interested in being on our show as a guest, please reach out to Jamie or I, and we'll ask a few questions, get you prepared, and get you on the calendar. And Jamie, what's the next show that we have coming up?
Next Thursday, we have Dr. Hawkins from the Urban League. That's the next thing that we definitely have scheduled. Not going to say something might not pop up. As we discussed this morning with Dr. Hawkins, the problem with the Daily Show was if I was booked for 2 weeks and someone that I had reached out to maybe 2 weeks ago, if it's, let's say Joe Biden finally gets back to me, I don't really want to say, well, Joe, how's September 20th look? So, that was part of the decision to go to the once a week, so that if we do have one of those pop up, we can, get them in without bumping somebody off. So for sure, next Thursday, we have Dr. Hawkins from the Urban League. We actually had a great conversation with her this morning, and I think that that'll be a good one. And as always, you can check our website, and we will update it as soon as we have something scheduled. So, Sean, get back to work. Thank you very much for joining. It was a pleasure, and we'll see you soon.
Always. Thanks, man.
Take care, bud. All right. So that was Sean McKay, the CEO and owner of the company. Who's called? Sean, I wonder if that's important. So that wasn't Sean. That was nobody. But thank you very much for joining. Like we said, we've been looking forward to doing this for a while. Glad we finally got around to it. If anybody out there is interested in being a guest, or someone that you think should be a guest, feel free to reach out to me. There's my email address. And we are looking to do more marketing roundups like we did last Friday with Jeremy. So we're always open for suggestion as well. So if you've got a suggestion and it doesn't suck, email me, jamie@yoursitehub.com. If you've got a suggestion or you heard a suggestion that kind of sucks, Sean, SEAN, @yoursitehub.com. Thank you so much. Thank you again to Sean for joining us. Hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe. Enjoy the weather and baseball.